Greetings and salutations. Welcome to NasCanucks, presented by Vibraprint, your auto racing podcast with a Canadian spin. I'm Ben. This is Doug. We're talking, NASCAR playoff racing, kind of, and pre-playoff still, because they can't get their act together. But Richmond, yay. We also have IndyCar coverage from Portland, as well as a bit of Jimmy Johnson news. And we're starting off the show because he wanted to start the show. What's your breaking news?
Hey, breaking news within the last hour. You heard it here first last week on any of the shows. NASCAR starting off the season next year, February 6th, 2 weeks before the 500, 1 week before the Super Bowl, LA Coliseum, Busch Clash.
And according by that computer-generated graphic, it looked like it was a dirt track.
Yeah, so they're making a track for it. So
probably dirt or concrete, because it's either you rip up any AstroTurf that's down or you throw a bunch of dirt down.
Only thing I didn't get to see was whether they're using this year's car or next year's car.
Right. Hey, Jeremy.
So that's big news. Like I said, heard it here first. LA Coliseum, February 6th. As any of you in the Ontario area know us, as Bill Red Ryans used to say on the Hamilton Wrestling, don't you dare miss it.
I actually saw him wrestle live.
Yeah, but he was like 80 when we were like teenage kids.
I know, and he was the opening match, and I went. And they went, and from wherever. The Red Lion. I'm like, the Red Lion? Who the hell's the Red Lion? I'm like, holy crap! Should have had a walker to get out to the ring. Yeah. There wasn't. Yeah, he didn't do a lot. He didn't do a lot at all. So, yes. So Richmond weekend. They condensed everything one day, doubleheader in one day.
Yeah.
That makes you think you could do a doubleheader weekend. Just do that Saturday and Sunday. Just saying.
I'm surprised no cars were sponsored by Taco Bell. They were in and out real quick.
They were. Yep. That's true. Used to be a Taco Bell car. But anyways, first one was the Xfinity race. Dale Jr., big fanfare, returning for his one race, the money race, as we call it.
Yep.
And the car, I was like, well, what is it? Like, I figured it should just be a smorgasbord, the golden corral of sponsors, because all of his sponsors should be on there, because they always say, well, he makes all the money. All right. Well, that one company must have paid a lot. So we're getting down. Was this the cutoff race for the playoffs for Xfinity?
No.
One left.
Next week.
Whatever. Yeah, sure. Whatever. So, yeah, Richmond daytime race, which was cool. The track is aging awesome. Not a hint of sealant. No peanut butter and jam out there. Nothing. Just racing. Didn't even look like they sealed the seams.
No.
Which was nice. Didn't look like a driveway that has been needed to repay for about 20 years and has the old roadmap of tar lines. So, yeah, it was different drivers throughout the race.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard for me to get into a rhythm with just these fuel run stages. Like, it just
there was really nothing to the race either.
Yeah, and we have a competition. Let's have a competition caution. Why bother?
Well, they're doing that because there's no practice or anything else. That's
stupid.
Yeah.
Considering you only make 3 or 4 adjustments to a car once the green flag drops anyway, so really a competition caution doesn't do squat.
I think for me early on in the race, the the radio communication that was the best was Dale Jr. Someone go to the 92 spotter and tell him, sorry, I haven't figured out the corners of the car yet. I keep hitting them.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm having a blast out here. I hope he isn't too upset. And they get, will you tell him, I don't care who he is, to get off my ass. Yeah. I am not having a good time.
Yeah. But
And I had missed their certain under the competition caution, just a few cars got tires. And I was like, I thought all of a sudden Tony Joe Martin there was having the run of his life, running
Oh, yeah.
second, damn near winning the first stage until
exactly,
they're like, well, he's got fresh tires. And I was like,
oh,
okay.
That'll
They
do.
didn't mention the fall off times during the Xfinity race, but they mentioned it was at 20 laps in on the Cup race. They were off by 2 seconds. So I was like, it's one of those. Okay. So we had a lot of usual stuff. I don't know, wasn't big wrecks per se,
No.
was there?
It was really big nothing.
No, it's just, and that's the problem with when these stages line up with fuel runs. It's just heat racing. I'm like, when's the main event happen? You waste half the race. I hate the stage racing. God damn. Like, I just realized more, especially watching more and more IndyCar racing too. I was like, damn. Flow of an entire race. Strategy. Oh, what a concept.
Mm-hmm.
Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Yep, pretty much. Yeah, and it was interesting. We weren't seeing a lot of bumping and rubbing up front, but man, like throughout the entire weekend, you didn't want to run 6th or 7th.
No, not at all.
People were all banging on each other for 6th and 7th. And like, why? What are you doing?
Yeah.
So, and then we end up, we can cut to the chase for that matter. Gragson wins the race. I watched this week. Didn't see him get the checkered flag.
No, he didn't. He didn't go up and get it.
Nope.
He still had a stunned look on his face in that interview.
Well, at least he was looking around. Like, I think, he's looked for a friend. I think that's what he's looking for.
Well, hey, did you notice that his pit crew was there, and then they left?
Yeah, and I also noticed.
And then he went to do the
race and point, to the one decal on the car, for Brad Pemberton, and we point at the other decal of the 20th anniversary of 9/11. You stand on the roof of your car with an American flag on 9/11, and you still can't get a cheer out of the crowd.
Yeah. And well, the other thing is too, it's like, cause they were there, they were gone, and he's like, "Hey, let's all do the fence climb."
Yeah.
And it was just him. There was no one else to do it.
Yeah. I noticed he's putting on some weight. You might want to switch to a light beer or whatever wine cooler he drinks or whatever.
Yeah. And I think the other thing out of the Xfinity race was in the Xfinity or the Cup. May have been because it was. I think it was the Cup race that we were talking about, wasn't it? Yes. Well, I'll talk about that later.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, and there was the weird conspiracy thing because they mentioned it during the Cup race that how the 9 and the 11 cars were battling it out.
Yeah. So going
9 and 11 finished 1-2 in the Xfinity race.
Yeah. But in the point standings.
Hey, Basement Guitar Superstar.
And Terry, by the way, there's no tornadoes here yet either.
Good.
Xfinity points going into Bristol here now. Allmendinger leads Cindric by just a couple points.
Yes. And Jeremy Smith says, unrelated, I know. Well, not necessarily, but I just learned a couple of days ago that Gregson's dad's in prison. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'd heard that that was something happened last year.
That's how
and then that all came out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there we are. So, Gregson wins. It wasn't a whole lot of note other than that. Oh, you know what? Actually, yes, John Hunter Nemechek was in the race driving that 26 car again.
Yes.
Another good run in that 26 I was like, damn. If he wasn't tied in with KBM, which is a good team to be tied into, like if you were just, running for Rick Ware Racing, I'd be hopping in that 26 because nobody else is driving the 26 like that. I think it's one of those where it's an excellent combo.
Mm-hmm.
You have a decent driver, a decent car, but put them together and it's really good. So they should definitely take a look at that for sure. So then we get into later in the day.
Yeah.
Later in the day,
you know what? The guys in the radio were talking about how it was a nice little break. People could go back out to their vehicles.
Sure.
refresh
Grab
the
a cold
cooler,
snack.
refresh the cooler, have a nap.
Well, see, that's what you would be doing. Actually, you'd be just sitting right in the grandstands. I'll just wait here. Because you are a coon.
Hey, that is the best thing about our setup in Charlotte. I can go in the camper, I can sit on the couch, put my feet up, and I can watch it on the big screen.
Yeah. Basement Guitar Superstar asked he didn't catch our picks to win the titles this year. I'll tell you right now, Dan, I gave up on that years ago because I think the Cup... Actually, I think all the NASCAR championships are jokes at this point. It's a one-race shootout. It's not a real champion. Whoever wins the regular season, that's my champion.
Well, I did go last week. Was it last
gimmicks.
week or the week before? It's not going to be Joey Logano.
Right.
Because he only makes the Final Four in even-numbered years. This is an odd-number year. And later on in the show, I will tell you who will be making guaranteed the Final Four in Cup.
Or so he says.
It's a guarantee.
Getting into the Cup race, I noticed.
Jeremy, stick around for that.
Not a full field in the Cup Series.
No.
Imagine that. Sure. Yeah. But this new car. Not to mention, I've been watching the interviews with a lot of former crew members and engineers that worked in shops, and a lot of them gave up and got out of the sport when the COT came along because of they weren't able to do so much with it. Like literally 75% of their jobs was eliminated.
Yep.
And we get to see that again starting next year because really it's a snap together model you're putting together for a Cup car.
Well, really, and I did hear someone talking about it. I forget who now. But they're talking about how because NASCAR is doing everything and then giving it out to the teams.
Yeah.
So what happens? What happens
if your car didn't handle right, for instance? Okay. With the Budweiser 8 car, Tony Jr. wanted to raise the engine up inside the car, raise up the cross member. You could do that on the old cars. COT came along. They're like, nope, you that's fixed. Everything's fixed. You can't do any of that. And now we're going even one step further. Everything's fixed. So back to you.
Yeah. So I forget who was saying that because all the parts are being made out. A lot of the parts are being made out, being shipped in, and they use them. What happens if there is a flaw in a part that's gone to every team?
Yep.
So now,
show 500.
Well, exactly. So that's
like when Goodyear brings the wrong tire to a race. Well,
say
I'll do that because I don't know if they ever really bring the wrong tire. Like sometimes they have the right tire, and the track owner decides to diamond grind the track.
I was just gonna say in Indy, let's new tires every 5 laps. But
well, I was thinking that was at least Indy. They knew about it, and they still failed. Charlotte, Bruton Smith went and diamond graded. Hey, I like what they did at Indy. Let's do that Charlotte and eliminate the humpy bump like 2 weeks before the 600. And that surface how smooth it is.
Yeah.
And basically you've removed half the surface because it's all little ridges. So it turned into a cheese grater. Remember, guys, you'd hit the gas coming into 4 and just loop the car. Tony Stewart while leading. So yeah. Joke. Anyways, I miss the old days. That's what I'm saying. So we get into the Cup race, not a full field.
Nope.
Green flag drops.
Well, drama off the start before the green flag.
Yes. Hey, Guitar Man 45.
Kyle Larson does not pass inspection.
Well,
back of the bus.
Is that news at this point?
No.
Isn't it always a 100 car that fails inspection? Which I don't know how, since you can't fucking do anything anymore to the cars. Yeah. But apparently you can do little things. Now you have... Yeah. That's the thing. Everyone's a specialist now. I'm a Windows specialist. Whereas you used to be able to build these cars top to bottom.
Yep. So...
Yeah. So we got into the race. And again...
Well, drop the green flag.
Yeah.
And Martin says, hey, Kyle, I want to join you. And he jumps the start.
Yeah. Well, he was like, well, then he spun his tire. Sounds like it doesn't matter.
No,
you can't beat the leader.
Any other time they drop the green flag.
Hello, Turtlehead. Welcome to the channel.
Sounds like me before the show. But anyway.
Or after visiting a certain Taco Bell in Beckley, West Virginia. Hashtag prairie dogging.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so Martin goes to the back.
Yep.
And then it then became, again, like a second week in a row, like Hendrick cars. How can we mess this up?
Yep. That's true. And, one of note, they never quite figured out how Kurt Busch cuts a left rear and took a very hard lick.
Oh, yeah.
Pancake the driver's side, which is always a hard one. And they're like, well, during pit stop, it could have knocked out the valve stem. No, how about the fact that on the restart, and they're like, oh, look, the tire looks low on the restart. Yeah, but it has all the lettering on the tire. Where'd the lettering go? That's what I want to know. What caused the lack of lettering on the tire? Because that's probably what caused the lack of valve stem. Because that let go, and that wasn't a good lick. And somehow, Kurt Busch, he has matured as a driver. He's like, well, I guess I got to go win Bristol. Well, not necessarily, because the Hendrick boys managed to screw themselves up enough that you're still tied at the cutoff line. So really, you just have to finish ahead of a couple of Hendrick cars. Which is kind of nice to see 2 Hendrick cars get eliminated in the first round.
Well, especially when people think, oh, it's going to be all 4 Hendrick cars in the final. No, it's not. I could have told you that right off the start.
You got some satisfaction every time they would do the live points during the race, and it's basically a 15-car battle in the playoffs, and then you see that one guy already already eliminated.
Oh, damn, dude.
Points out.
That guy was already eliminated at the Daytona road course, right after he got the checkered flag at the 500.
I almost said,
he was done. He was done. Yeah.
So, I'm like, you don't even need to show it. Just put another ad there. Hey, there's Tom.
Yeah. We know Tom? McDowell is not going to do nothing.
No. And he certainly isn't going to win Bristol.
No.
And I will say it's looking good for Kurt, because Kurt Busch, he's always been good at Bristol.
Yeah.
So, didn't the 18? He had issues. He had the speeding penalty late in the race, but didn't he have some contact too, or something? No.
Yeah.
No, it was the week before that he spun.
Yeah, but he did have trouble near the end. He was trying to lap a car. The car you do not. The car you do not want to try and lap. He was trying to put him a lap down.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. Ryan said, no, you're not going to do that. And I'm going to give you a little punt in the front end.
Oh, and if anyone gives me guff for wearing a Gretsch hat on a NASCAR podcast, Austin Dillon was sponsored by Roland this race, I noticed. I saw it on the rear quarter. I'm like, oh, really? Because they're a very big music manufacturer company, and it was across the hood as well. And I went, damn. Okay, because when I think Roland, you think keyboards, and I don't think there's a lot of keyboard players that watch NASCAR.
No, I'm going backwards because I'm prepping for one. Right after this, I've got another one. But
he's back to back. So again, it was just like fuel runs, and then. But it did turn into some old school racing because there was a lot of green flags as a quote unquote boring race. They ended up with like 9 cars on lead lap with a lot of laps left.
And it became like you had to have that money pit stop every time.
Yep. Yeah, it was just like good.
Chase Elliott didn't. There was the one that Chase Elliott didn't have.
No.
Like when the jack is when the guy tries to jack the car up even a bit, don't try and put it in reverse.
No.
Good things do not happen.
And nobody told you to put it in reverse.
Yeah. Oh.
But, and granted, though, I will say heads up thinking, because he did get clipped, took his foot off the gas for a second, went, oh, crap, because, you do go in there as hard as possible. So you think, if I took my foot off, I must have rolled through the pits. No, there's a reason why we tape you off a good 18 inches before the end of the pits, Chase, because you have a tendency to overrun your pits more than any other driver in the series.
No, exactly, yeah. So
Kyle Busch speeds, you overshoot your pits. That's the way it works. So, you know who we didn't hear from the entire race? I like to drive fast. He was
he was kind of quiet.
Yeah, I'm just going to run 8th. And then, of course, Harvick gets in the top 10, and all of a sudden, is he going to break the winless streak? And I'm like, no, he's not going to win again, Jeff.
But he's still,
podcast.
Another solid run for him, though, in the top 10. Like, it's nice to at least see him there.
Yeah, considering, like, by the sounds of things, it doesn't sound good for that team overall. No. That whole organization, like, they're phoning it in. It's like, we know Stewart doesn't care about the team anymore. He's off playing with his girlfriend and doing whatever. And, playing with Ray Evernham, his other girlfriend, side piece, if you will. Gene Haas, who knows, is he out of jail? He was in jail for a while.
Was he?
Wasn't he in jail?
I don't know.
Gene Haas did some time.
I don't know.
Tax evasion or something. Maybe it was a partner. You got the partner to take the fall. Maybe that's what it was. But, and they're like, well, this team, they haven't been competitive all year. I'm like, the 10-car won a race. The 10-car won a race.
Yep.
Just saying. But beyond there hasn't been a whole lot going on with that. So,
so leads to Denny Hamlin, second Richmond race in a row that he leads the most laps. Does not get the checker flag.
Nope. So all of a sudden, your boy there got out front, drove the tires off it, still managed to hang on to it. I kind of like how they both kicked him outside. Him and Hamlin kicked her out sideways to cross the start-finish line.
Well, yeah, and I think there was a couple laps left because James Small, he's an Australian Cole Pern. Just a calm.
And that's not because he wears just a black T-shirt.
Yeah, it's just that calm. Like, even like him and Martin had the little kind of conversation near the end there, and he was like, "Yeah, he's coming on behind you," and he's like, "Oh," like Martin like screamed down to like not get so excited or just to calm down about something. And it's like, but it's it was nice to see for them being able to put everything together.
Yeah,
right.
So Martin wins. So of course there's tears in victory lane.
No, he said it was. He did not. He did not.
He did.
He did.
He was all wiping his face beforehand, and then
because it was hot, he was sweating. He was sweating.
The reporter even says, "There's some tears in your eyes." He goes, "Well, this is an emotional day." And
you know what? To go back to that day, he was testing in New Jersey that day.
Yes, he was.
So they had to stop because all of their ambulance and stuff at the track had the book at New York City. So they, it kind of,
even then,
not in the way of everyone else, it did affect him.
Until I see him just grinning and not teary-eyed in victory lane, I get to ride Martin. That's his thing. He's a crier.
I have pictures of him not crying in victory lane when I seen him there.
Well, there's always a momentary lapse in time, Doug. You got him between tears. He probably just blew his nose, wiped his eyes, you snapped the photo, and then waterworks resume. I don't. Or during the hat dance. He's calmed down by that. He's an emotional guy is what I'm saying. But that's okay. So he's locked in for the next round along with Denny Hamlin. Oh, I don't know, Doug. Could be old Gibbs in the final four.
Could be.
Because
and really, where's all the hoopla and everything for Gibbs finishing 1, 2, 3? They did it for Hendrick.
Yeah.
Nothing for Gibbs. Because you know why? There's not a Hendrick guy in the booth.
Plural. Several. They're sprinkled throughout the broadcast.
But I'm saying Fox.
Except for Kyle Petty. I do love Kyle Petty. Doesn't give a rat's ass. You can tell he's in nobody's pocket other than Coca-Cola at this point. He will tell it like it is. And Dale Jarrett, too, for that matter. He's
the three of those guys.
Yeah.
Put Brad Doherty. Because Doherty tells it like it is when he's on the late shift on Sirius XM.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, and he does even in the broadcast. Like, you wouldn't know he's a team owner.
Not at all. And even he'll say, like, we got to pick it up. Like, when I'm listening to the radio show, like, we got to pick it up. Like, we're horrible. So.
All right. So that gets us into, or did you have another stat, or should I do the IndyCar first? Because I'm guessing you're not going to comment.
Do the IndyCar. Do it, because I got a bunch of crap to talk about.
All right. So IndyCar, returning for the third year in a row to Portland International Raceway, which is one of my favorite tracks, even though they put a stupid chicane at the end of the front stretch. Safety. Whatever. But I haven't been able to see a Portland race in years since it's been back on the calendar. Those races hadn't necessarily been televised in Canada. So I got to do an excellent car count, Doug. 27 cars out there. They little issue with their marketing there. It's the chase for the playoffs, Doug, because they're running 4 weeks in a row to end the season.
Whoa,
they use the C word. I'm like, you don't want to use that word. Trust me.
Oh, well, they're chasing a championship.
They are. But it's 4. Yeah. And so 27 cars. It's one of those deals because the front stretch at Portland is also a drag strip. So it's, beautiful front strip. Lots of grip. But then it kind of funnels in a bit, and then you got a chicane. And so they decided to stick Paul Tracy down in the chicane to broadcast. Seemed like an okay idea. He's like, I don't know about this, because he goes, they get really close. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's Armco about 3 to 4 feet, and then your red and white straight curbing. What I didn't notice till later in the race that the cars like to zip about that close to the Armco, right over top, cutting that curb. So Tracy was right. Yeah. So they all bomb in, and they're literally 2 or 3, like he could reach out, touch the cars. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's calamity in turn 1. And he's just like, what the hell's going on? There's smoke and, kitty litter and rubber. And that was the first lap. And so then they rode around, I don't know, because of scoring. It was it's a mess, but they got to figure it out. But in the time before they went back to green, Paul Tracy said, oh, let's go down to Paul down the chicane, for another recap. Oh, we're getting a report. Paul's not down there anymore. Paul's on his way up to the booth here because he went, fuck that. I'm not standing down there again. Mm-hmm. And I get it, because he's like, that was one of the craziest things I ever did. They're like, yeah, but you used to drive these cars. He goes, yeah, but you're much safer in the car. You just stand. He goes, I wouldn't be a corner worker. Mm-hmm. So, and we, it's Miguel Pillow and Pato O'Ward been for the title. You got Scott Dixon still looking for number 7. They all had issues at the start. Ray Hall was looking good for part of the race. Pillow ends up winning the race with now, I think, a 10 or 19 point lead. Dixon's within 50 with 2 races to go, but the way their points are, it's still doable. It's still like a 5-car shootout for the last couple races. But it was really, it was interesting to see because you got to give him credit, Doug. Jimmy Johnson avoided that crash at the beginning. He was running 19th towards the end, which is tied for his best finish, which has been the last couple weeks in a row, or a couple races in a row. 19th, which again, stronger car count. And he's into, by 19th, you're in with the drivers. Mm-hmm. And he was shooting it out with old Seabass there. And Seabass went, oh, Mr. Stock Car driver, I'm going to dive bomb you going into that first turn chicane. Mm-hmm. And he went in a little hot, and Jimmy went, you know what? I'm just going to let off a little extra. He went out wide. Jimmy scooped right around and goes, yeah, I'll take my spot back. See ya. And the booth is just like, damn, that was good. And I think I know why. He did an oval test at Texas last week. He had also tested at Portland a couple weeks ago, which helped. But that because then they were showing him all the changes you can make in a car. And I think the fact that he's on an oval, which he's comfortable with, and then you start making, well, this is what a weight jack does. And he goes, holy crap, that's like wedge. Okay, and he said he scared himself because he thought he knew how to go fast around Texas. And then he says, when he go in the Indy car, he goes, holy crap, there's so much downforce. I can put it anywhere and do anything. And so it sounds like he may run full time next year.
Be good for him.
Yeah, but, it's nice to see he's at least being competitive because, as much as I like to rag on Jimmy Johnson, at least nobody wants to go out there and run 25th.
No.
So that was good to see in that respect. Mm-hmm. And Helio Castroneves will be back full-time next year. He was actually started. They got an early lead. He made a lap, and then he got in that issue. And he's like, it's a 110-lap race. Why are you doing bonehead moves on the first corner? I was like, Helio, you've done it too. That's why you were such a great Penske driver, because you never admit fault.
Yeah.
So that's that. It's looking good. really good competitive series. So,
Mm-hmm.
Any other news notes that we should hit?
Well, news. Just we'll recap off the top of the show in case anyone wasn't here.
Yes.
As we mentioned here last week, NASCAR going to LA to start the season, February 6th, LA Coliseum, 2 weeks before the 500, and it's that off week that NFL has between the last playoff game and the Super Bowl. So
Where's
it's a
the
dead
Super Bowl
week anyway.
held out there?
It's in LA.
Okay, that's why I kind of figured.
So yeah, so it's kind of match up with that. So we're not sure exactly what the track is going to be like or just what, but
I don't even know where the NFL stadium is now I'm
not sure.
I think it's like in Irvine or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to say.
Other news would be if you are looking for a job in NASCAR.
Yes.
I think we know the team that could be hiring someone.
Oh, what kind of a role?
Whatever you want.
Oh.
As we did talk off air there over the weekend, Carl Long, like he threw the whole team under the bus, backed over them, drove over them, backed over them, drove over them. On Sirius XM Sunday morning, threw it on my way to work, and I was like, oh boy, because apparently he was upset about because he is an underfunded team. He usually does his own transmissions, and for Darlington, he rented a transmission for someone for Timmy Hill, and I guess it went when Timmy Hill was leading the pack.
High-profile situation.
Yeah, leading the pack, and he's like, oh, and Timmy did a good job of getting to the middle instead of stacking up the field. No, he did stack up the field in that middle lane. There was cars just diving everywhere.
Yeah, there's not a lot of room at Darlington.
So he said that he had to have a come to Jesus moment with his team in that part of the shop to get them. But then this past week with David Starr, I guess this weekend here, couple of guys at the shop, they forgot to tighten up the front end, and within the first couple laps, they were about 3 inches out of toe on the front end. And he basically said, yeah, I've got a lot of guys who just think they're at a 9 to 5 job and just go home at 5 o'clock, and they don't care about anything. They're just their work ethic is horrible. So if you would like to work in that kind of an environment, I think Carl Long is hiring.
Sounds like it.
Other news, you always ask, where is he?
Where's Ty Dillon?
I'm hearing a full-time cup ride is in his future next year. No team announced yet. But
it would have to be a new team or a smaller team, like a Front Row Motorsports.
But it looks like there is a full-time ride in his future for next year. Nothing announced yet.
Nice.
That, and then also hearing some stuff out of the truck series. Austin Hills crew chief Scott Zipadelli, brother of Greg, feeling the heat right now. He kind of went off on Stuart Friesen Sunday morning as well.
Mm-hmm.
That Stuart Friesen doesn't belong in the next round of the truck series playoffs because he didn't run as well as them in the regular season because they got 2 wins. He didn't have any, but he's been more consistent the last 2 races. That's the only reason why he's going to be advancing. And they haven't been they've been in, and the 16 team has been inconsistent. Okay, so that's his fault that you've been inconsistent the last 2 weeks? Right?
I saw that on an unrelated note, Tom. Yeah, rest in peace, Norm Macdonald.
Yes.
After a 10-year battle with cancer, apparently. Yeah,
so Zipadelli's thing is that he would like to see all teams that have wins be able to run for the championship in the final race. Okay.
So what do we do? What if 10 people win? It's a 10-driver shootout for one race, which
I guess.
Add my previous rant that it shouldn't be coming down to one race anyways.
It just leads to the hype, right? So
yeah,
and that
I just don't. I just get a kick out of the utter hypocrisy, like the fact that both teams, Friesens and Zibdelli's were inconsistent this year at different points in the season, and he doesn't see that.
But when it counts,
yeah,
the 52 team has done what they've needed to do. And then for the other thing with who we thinking was going to win, I had the little stat the other week how Joey Logano only makes the Final Four on even numbered years.
Yes.
Another little stat here: how far the first repeat winners of the year have gone. In the Cup Series, 2014, the first repeat winner, Kevin Harvick. He was the champion that year.
Mm-hmm.
Harvick was the first repeat winner in the playoffs in 15. He made the Final Four. Jimmy Johnson won it in 2016. Keselowski made the Final Four in 17. 2018, Kevin Harvick made the Final Four. Kyle Busch was the champion in 19. Joey Logano made the Final Four last year, 2020. And this year, Martin Truex Jr. will be in the Final Four. And I'm saying he's going to win it. So that's just my take. And not just because I'm wearing the shirt. But and my take for the Xfinity Series is Allmendinger to take the Xfinity guys.
I don't know. I can't count out Cindric, as that organization.
No.
I think Gregson will shoot himself in the foot.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, knowing him, he'll probably say something, get a points penalty, which will cost him.
He's got enough ghosts in that closet. That,
yeah.
Look for that. Look for those to
unfortunately, Harrison Burton's fallen off a little bit as of late.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Well, I think after being announced, he has done nothing.
Yeah.
Since being announced in the 21 car for next year.
Wonder
so is he not being invited back to those meetings? Those Tuesday morning meetings?
Exactly. In the 18, seems to have a bit more speed, but they're inconsistent with bad luck. Yeah. But it seems like everything's getting poured into the 54.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I just don't see Ty Gibbs as the second coming of Bobby Allison, who's just tearing up the track the way he is without getting the best of the best. So, other than that,
which leads us to this. Leads us to this weekend. Leads us to this weekend.
Yes, Bristol.
Yeah, we got three races. Oh, so last week, last weekend, this past weekend. Big congrats to Ryan Newman on the modified win at Richmond this past weekend. He won the modified race. There.
Very cool. So looking ahead to Bristol, do you have a pick for Bristol?
On the Cup side, I'm saying Kurt Busch.
I was thinking Kurt Busch too.
He's my guy.
Somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm thinking Keselowski or Harvick. Like the veteran could do it, but I don't think they will.
You know what? I'm saying Kurt Busch, but I could also say it will be just a Busch in victory lane. Could be Kyle as well.
And also, I'm not going to count out those Hendrick cars. Actually, I'm not going to count out 3 of the 4 Hendrick cars. I don't think the 48 is going to win. But
no,
that 24, he's sneaky that way. And of course,
but he's had a lot of bad luck. He's had a lot of bad luck.
He's had a lot of bad teammates.
Well, yeah.
Just gets run over. So, yeah. I got, you know what? It's hard to tell because I don't know. Are they going to put a bunch of peanut butter on the track again? Like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, what gimmick? Is there going to be a gimmick or is it just a straight race? Like,
I don't know.
That's where I was shocked at Richmond. I'm like, holy crap, they have high horsepower and no gimmick on the track. Yay.
Well, what's that concrete going to be like after all that dirt's been sitting on it?
Oh, it would have been washed off long ago.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I think a few good downpours would take any residuals off. The drainage system's got to be fucked. Clay. Yeah, that's not good. All right, yeah. And I'm not going to have a pick if the trucks are running because there's possibly an all-star running in the trucks. And,
no.
I'm not saying necessarily Kyle, but somebody. There could be somebody.
Yeah, I don't think it can be any Cup guys now they're in the playoffs.
Well, I don't know. Was that another stupid rule they made?
Think so. Yeah.
Sick of these stupid rules. All right.
So,
well, there we are. Anything else?
Like it's been a slow week.
It has. Well, yeah, we're in that because a lot of the silly season's already been announced, but we're not quite at the point where there's the last minute silly season stuff. Other than your occasional sponsor here and there, which I'm sorry, if you're in September and announcing sponsors for the 2021 season, either your team's on an uptick or you're not that great a team. And you're picking up Billy Bob's barbecue sauce anyways.
Yeah, the only other thing is that I've seen that the RTA is still alive and well. They bought Speed 51. So
there we are. All right. Well, on that note, we've been NasCanucks presented by Vibraprint. He's Doug. I'm Ben. And we'll be back again next week. Talking Bristol.
We're going to do
a if it's on TV.
Lunch show next week.
Okay. Means I gotta watch the races earlier in the week. All right. Yep. Have a good night, folks.
See you, Marcus.